Thank you for choosing Rusty Love, and today we're piloting Evelyn Rainbows. There are two specific types of weapons that you should mainly worry about in Warframe. The anagram is MGCO. They are weapons that have multiplicative, galvanize, condition overload damage to base damage. So instead of adding 40% damage to 165 damage, it's going to be multiplying it. Sounds amazing, right? But sadly, that list is not entirely easy to find. You Google it, you'll find some list. Hopefully, it gives you all weapons. I can't even say that the list I have is all of them. But if you guys would like it, I can easily post it. So now when it comes to building weapons, you need to worry about three main stats. Its critical chance, its critical damage, and its status chance. The base the base percentage you want for either critical chance or status chance is 20%, and as you can see, this weapon is at 31% chance, which is 11% over the minimum, which makes it great, automatically great. And then you have the kind of low 19% chance. If you try real hard, it'll be a pretty good status chance weapon, but it is not a projectile. It is a projectile speed weapon, but it doesn't favor as much from status chance as real projectile speed projectile weapons. This one just lobs something. It's a launcher called the Purgator. Purgator. It's a 1999 weapon, and I like it. Now let's get into this. So we have 31% critical chance. That is amazing. And we have 2.3 times damage. I do believe that triples my damage, or the base damage is multiplied twice. That is what I think, which is great. We're going to start with our main damage, and you might see why this is an MGCO weapon. And after base damage, I always like, boom, to use a multi-shot weapon, because in this instant, instead of firing one small bomb, I'm gonna slob two of them. Of course, I'll come in the same gun, don't worry. And here we'll go for critical. Now, I don't mind the critical's fire rate, and you will find out in actually just a moment. We're just gonna type in these pretty three letters. Boom. Semi-rifle candidate. Only compatible with semi-automatic triggers. Fire rate cannot be modified. Negative fire rate, but you can't be modified. Ah, snap. Guess who just gained fire rate instead of losing it? Booyah. And it has 240% base damage compared to the 165% base damage of Federation. So we're going with semi-rifle candidate in this situation because we want the more base damage. Punch through actually surprisingly actually affects this weapon. It I don't know. You will find out why I'm confused of why punch through works on this weapon. But before we get into the rest of the build, I want to show you the small little thing that matters the most when you're building. Instead of moving on to critical damage, we're going to move on to something even special. The statuses. We're going to grab Toxin damage. That is a very important spot, and I will show you why. That is a very important spot, and I will show you why. 8 damage. That is the iffy spot. Look what happened. It turned into gas and electricity. What should it have been? What was I building for? I was building for corrosive fire, but it turned into gas. Now, what happens if I switch these two? Look at this. It turns into heat and corrosive. The mod placement on your configuration matters 100% of the time. And even worse, let's say you want to double dip down on electricity. Okay, fine, act like that. Wait. We're gonna find something that it works on. Double dip on heat. We got one left. Double dip on corrosive. Okay, never mind. It's not gonna change for us because it doesn't like me. That is fine. What other combinations can it be? Gas and electricity. See, I got 3 different combinations of elements, all from 3 of the same mods. Your mod placement matters. Toxin goes here, electricity goes here, and heat goes here, making heat corrosive. There's nothing else there. Now then, the very last thing we should ever have to worry about. This, I need to press the right buttons. Yeah, I have bladed rounds. We have hammer shot for more status chance as critical damage. That would complete your critical build. You can easily double dip on any of these weapons, but specifically 2 elements is the max I would ever use on a build. Don't worry about impact, don't worry about puncture. That is technically a physical element, along with slash, impact, and puncture are all 3 physical elements that are actually on a different spreadsheet than the normal heat, toxin, cold, and electricity. So don't worry about that. But today we're not actually building corrosive. Actually, yeah, we'll build corrosive for this one. What are we putting here? Ah, yeah, this button. Now, this is a rifle. You have many choices, and if I may say, if at any point you decide to not use this mod at all, no semi rifle candidate, no serration mod, and you decide to use this baby, you can. This arcane should replace all base damage on your build, allowing this spot to be free and be whatever you decided to be. It could be anything in the world. It does not matter. Now, if you, let's say, have actual base damage, you have this lovely mod that will, on weak point hits, which can be considered the head, or anything else that may be considered a head or just a weak spot, you gain 30% status chance and 6% ammo efficiency. That is 300% status chance and 60% ammo efficiency, which is amazing on rifles. Absolutely amazing on rifles, especially hit scan weapons, because they burn through bullets. Absolutely burn through bullets. But today we're working on something that I like more. Overcharge. Primary overcharge. Show You're telling me I can get at max 350% multi-shot if I have high energy, which as a caster, most of my frames I play have high energy. So let's actually see how this build works out. Gonna collect your buffs. What's the best bounty for Aya? Boom! Look at that, he got damaged. This is a projectile. Yes, it is a project. All launchers are projectiles. Hmm. Would you say this is a good build? Would you say this is a good gun? I do believe so. It does its job. It really does. Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Jarvis. All right, we are back to the MGCO, and boom, it is a Riven build. Most of the time, Riven builds are not good to share just because a Riven can actually change how you build a weapon. But specifically, the Tenet Envoy will not have that problem. Why? It is a powerhouse. This one's giving me critical chance and multi-shot. Two things I care a lot about. I just do. You have your main damage, multi-shot, critical chance. But let me go over one thing. 28 critical chance, 2.6 times critical. That's great. And we have 24% we have 24% status chance. That is amazing. And this is an adversary weapon, so we can add on as long as I did nothing, we can add on heat damage. So this is why you see a viral heat with impact damage, because it's an impact weapon. We have our base elements. You would think I would want more status chance, but this is a projectile like you just saw, but unlike what you just saw. The Purgator prefers to attack one person and anything behind it, leaves a gas trail, which is nice to keep enemies kind of at bay. This one is a raw damage critical chance monster. It was 2000, well, yeah, it was 2025's most used primary. Yes, I can't believe. No, 2024's most used primary. 2025's most used primary is Torid. Sorry about that. Critical, multi-shot, main damage, multiplicative. And then we have our elements. I have terminal velocity because it needs speed, but it does not need fire rate. Now we'll get into the radial attack. There are specifically three actual types of weapons. You have the projectile weapons. They shoot projectiles that take a certain amount of time getting somewhere. Then you have the hit scan weapons that actually just decide to hit the actual target without thinking about it. You do have beam weapons. They are important and are a different type of weapon. I forgot about them, but the fourth weapon we need to think about are the AoE weapons. They can be hit scan or they can't be hit scan. They can be projectile or not. But they matter because that radial damage, if it hits you, if you're in its 8 millimeter range, it'll knock you back, and that gets annoying. But that means it hits. But hey, it hits more enemies. It's an AoE attack. It's great, especially when you can find a multiplicative galvanized condition overload weapon. The MGCO list is great. Anytime you actually should ever see Serration and Galvanized Aptitude on the same build is if it's MGCO. You really do not need that much damage. Most of it will come from your critical damage, and your elements. These matter. These matter a lot. Enough talk. Let's show you. Nope, don't do that. Do that. Yep. I specifically used this gun on my Wisp. Take your time. It has funny reload. I missed. The galvanized aptitude will only work on the enemy that I hit and not the AoE attacked enemies in the 8-meter range. Because sadly, it's mainly a. I don't know, but my smart guess is the fact that because this galvanized mod is only supposed to affect while in combat, certain weapon coding allowed it to become multiplicative instead of base damage based on that aspect, but that's just a guess, and I know how to make stuff up. Sticking with AoE weapons, this time we have Fire Rate, but you see the exact same pattern. No Galvanize because there is no MGCO, sadly. We're going Serration, Galvanized Chamber, critical damage and critical chance and critical damage. Then we have our elements. I like to have a bit of status because most of the damage will come from fire. And then we have Vile Accelerate because we love to burn through all of our fire rate. It has 0 punch through, so my preferred mod would Prime. Shred would not work in this situation. When it comes to viral builds, you need a primer. Specifically, I am personally using fire as my primer to lower down their armor to 50%, and then, or I use one of my favorite casters to strip armor. Also works perfectly for you. I am an armor stripper. You can be a primer. We can work together. That is fine, because the main damage will come from the viral. It will let the game tell you what viral does. Viral damage. Viral increases damage to health up to 325% with multiple stacks for with multiple stacks for a short duration of time. That's 300% extra damage on health. That's amazing. Then we weaken them with armor. That's my normal go-to build. Then I love Primary Overcharge. It'll be my main arcane. Because I prefer damage over more ammo efficiency and status chance. I'm sorry. Here we go. That impact makes them stagger, and that does get in the way of DPS. Yep, one problem you will have with this specific weapon, it knows how to drain ammo. But honestly, it does damage. This is why I specifically like to stick. But I know what you guys really want to see. You want to see, ooh, still couldn't get them all in one mag. Armor stripped. You wanted to see them armor stripped. That's what we call a primer. Make that icky stuff go away. This is another hit scan gun, and I just wanted to show you actually what regular hit scan guns or rifles should do under my hands. Prime Shred. The bread and butter to this build, actually. Viral heat as normal, multi-shot, critical delay, no semi actually, because this one doesn't count. Sadly, there's no option in my categories for semi-automatic rifles. Now, this is a non-incarnate weapon, so please don't make fun of the Baza too much. Baza? I don't know. Those are hit scan weapons. That is the Baza Prime. I do hope this build got you. Before we move on to beam weapons, I wanted to backtrack onto projectiles. Forgive me. There are certain projectiles. Bam! This projecting. Yeah. The chance per projectile that a status effect will apply based on the type of damage the weapon inflicts. They say pure actual status builds are best for actual projectile guns that have projectile statuses. I am not using Galvanized Savvy because of the Incarnate mode, and I was not using this as a regular shotgun. But as you see, we went with the regular build. We have base damage, we have multi-shot, and we have critical declaration, critical chance. I don't care about that fire rate. Critical damage. And then we have a actual ribbon that gives me fire rate and critical damage. So I will lose out on the puncture, but once again, we're not worried about that. The incarnate mode can't puncture. We have our elements. Once again, this should be a full percentage build. This fire should be a 60/60 mod, and I'm not using it for some reason. Forgive me on my building skills. I have so many weapons. I have so many weapons, and it's just really hard to keep up with them all. I'm really not kidding. But I will get to it, and it'll be 100%. I'll be adding Omni here, and just changing that to Matter. Now, when it comes to shotguns, I have to say this. Primary Overcharge is 100% better than Shotgun Vendetta. Shotgun Vendetta only has a 5 meter range. No, 5 meters. I don't want them that close to me. Plus, it gives reload speed. and you only have to kill it. This is my shotgun. Girlfriend, I love you. Load while you walk, load while you walk. If you run out of bullets, you actually will start reloading yourself. I think should be a mechanic always. Ah, actually, you know what it is, because most guns fill the entire magazine. That was a projectile shotgun. Never forget your galvanized accelerate for projectile speed and beam range. Sadly, once again, Torid can't use it. This one is a fun one. I did things correctly. Only one thing should be changed, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. That last Hellfire should be a 60/60 mod, but whatever. For beam weapons, I love beam weapons, but all of my beam weapons uses primary delibate, debilitate. I got it. I got it on my first try. If an enemy has 10 stacks of a combined status effect like viral, gas, magnet, or corrosive, inflicting the same status effect gains 100% chance to inflict one of the base status effects that it is composed of. So you will automatically get toxin, electricity, heat, or viral from either of the combinations of magnetic, corrosive, viral. Oh God, I said viral instead of toxin. And magnetic. Oh God. Ooh, it's a fun ability for beams because beams do nearly consistent damage. It's faster than per second, so multi-shot won't do multiple beams. It'll just like make the beam stronger. But because of all of the status chances coming from beam weapons, you will always want to put Galvanized Aptitude. Especially with this arcane, you'll do perfect. This specific weapon, you'll see I'm using Galvanized Scope, but only this once. I was just trying it out, and I don't feel like remodding this. Wait, wait, we're a smart cookie. We can do this mid-live. We can do this live. Get rid of you. And critical play. There we go. I don't want to worry about that. I don't care. Then we have Prime Shred for the punch through. Because it's a beam weapon, punch through does chains to enemies. Cool. Very cool to me. And then you have your elements. As I always do, viral is my main, but specifically viral not only increases the damage to health, it inflicts cold damage now, which increases my critical damage while lowering their armor with fire and adding 2 DOTs plus the viral DOT, giving 3 extra damage over times. Oof. And Sinister Reach for all the real beam weapons. Sadly, Torid is not one of them. Thor is not one of them. Why do you like to mess with me? Let's make Torid a shotgun instead of a launcher. Come on. Please. This is the only beam weapon. All Coda weapons can do it, but this is the only beam weapon that can literally prime itself and do every element in the game. Oh God. Well, except magnetic and gas. But those guys are losers. Ah, God. That's why I love beam weapons. Ooh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, this is another beam weapon I had to show you. I love them all. I'll even show you my best one, but you've seen it already. You know it. Galvanized aptitude for the more status chance base damage increase, especially with our lovely arcane. Multi-shot, critical damage, critical damage. Let's check out. 20% critical, 40% status chance. If you want to make this a status demon, yes, perfect, perfect. 2.2 times the critical damage. Now, I love critical builds in general. You rarely see me without one. Whew. All right. Huh. Snail mail. Sorry, I had to pick up my damage from the post office. Mm, mm, yes, yes. Yes, this is power. This is true power. This is true power. Now, one last thing before we really end this video. I want to show you two AoE weapons that do two different types of shooting. I want you to tell me which one does which. We have the Coda Sporothrix. Sporothrix. Okay. Semi-rifle because we love the more base damage. This is a sniper. It doesn't care about anything else, but guess what? It is a status build. What do we have? Good. Oh, Soul and Lua, thank you. 5% critical chance, but for some reason 3 times critical damage. Yeah, I feel the middle finger. Yeah, thanks. But 55% status base chance. Awesome. We are not using galvanized aptitude because this is a radial attack weapon. That means it does AoE. We want the most out of my AoE damage, and punch through doesn't matter. Yeah, well, I can't fix that. So we're gonna go on to the Sporothrix augment. You will need this for any build that includes this weapon, whether it's Coda or not. It is your bread and butter. It's literally both of them. Everything else is just a knife. It's that utensil you throw around and clean now and then. Rifle Elementalist. You will need this, not for the punch through. God, why is there punch through on everything? And I'm just reading, that doesn't say primed shred, it says primed firestorm. So status damage will just make the overall build better in the heat department because we're using primary overcharge from multi-shot. This is a ray dialed attack weapon, so yes, it will actually be affected by primed firestorm. No, not all incarnate weapons in their incarnate form will be affected by Prime Firestorm. I'm sorry about that. But as a proper status build, we have all 60/60 mods. Toxin, Cold, and Heat. Oh, we can't zoom to get more critical damage, but that's fine. hmm Well, you say that punch through is not working, but my big AoE is saying different. Cool. Okay. It needs no introductions. You have your base damage, multi-shot, critical speed, critical damage, and by far the best Riven rolled for me. Could not be more perfect. Your fire rate. The most you can get from fire rate. Most fire rate you can get from a mob. Critical chance. Amazing. Another multiplier. Critical damage. Amazing. Another multiplier. My downfall. I shoot a little bit less on the weakest enemy and Warframe. Oh, my heart cries for you. But only once a year. Prime Firestorm, specifically for me. I like to aim less, but if I choose, I can get the headshot. And my absolute favorite when it comes to beam weapons. Get blast. And for the extra combo of cold and heat, we have primary debilitate. If an enemy has 10 stacks of combined status effect, inflicting the same status effect again has a 100% chance to inflict one of the base status effects it is composed of. So we have cold damage for more critical damage. We have heat damage to strip away that armor 50%, doing 50% more damage, basically. We have build with toxin damage being able to bypass all the shields. We need nothing more. Velocities purely for the beginning stage. I do not like waiting for the lob of cloud to hit the enemy. Hit the enemy, charge, shoot the beam, that's all. Enemies, bad. Corpus very mean. It does not like dying on me. Ooh, shield. I don't like shield. Yeah, shield doesn't like cloud either. Huh? Hmm. I do hope you enjoyed. And I do hope if this helped you out at all. And if it did, please leave a like and share. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I will answer anything. I hope you have a nice day.